This is our Grand Design RV, and I just had to do a pretty substantial repair on the front of the fifth wheel from the chassis to the wall for the entire superstructure. And then after I finished making that video of the repair and the information that's in there, I found out that the warranty is now extended to 5 years. So good news, bad news. Good news for you, I get to pass along the information so you know if you're having a similar situation, and bad news for me because I already fixed it and now I have an extended warranty. Really not that bad of a deal because I like doing the work myself anyways. But I think this information can really help complete the idea of how that kind of superstructure attachment happens in the front that everybody's been talking about. And part of that, me digging into it and finding it, is something that I want to talk about, the RV industry transparency, because it's information I tried to get before digging into it myself, but I had to just get my hands dirty and figure out what that problem was. But today I also want to talk about the Grand Design email of the warranty being extended, which is a good first step, but I think there could be more, but we'll unpack more of that as we get going. Let me first dive you into the repair and talking about the RV industry's standards of quality that we're seeing now. Let's jump into the video that I made for that. Well, today I need to do some major repairs on the RV, but I want to have a serious conversation about the quality that we're seeing in RVs today. We've been having some structural issues with the front of the RV, and the email I got from Grand Design, to me, was kind of surprising. I think a good place to start is to try and catch you up on what we have going on currently. So we have had issues with this wall detaching from the chassis of the RV. And so that's kind of the precursor to the whole frame flex problem that we're seeing a lot across a lot of different RVs. We have a Grand Design. Grand Design's obviously been taking kind of the brunt of that conversation. But when I took a peek inside here the other week, I noticed that I have a few more problems with this wall separating from the chassis, and that's what I need to work on today. So I'm gonna pull the trim and drop everything here in the front so that I can get to the root of the problem. What we did on the first phase was we dug in there to find out that we only had 2 out of the 5 lag screws that we needed on this side to hold the wall to the chassis. While I think that's a poor design, I added the rest of the lag screws and upsized them to a 1/2 inch because they were already stripped out on the other 2. Today, I'm solving the other side of the attachment because I found 2 more lag screws loose underneath. And then I also found some screws that go vertical, and those were sheared off. It's at this point, taking apart the entire front of the RV, that I wanted to consider the quality of RVs today. There's definitely room for improvement, but there's kind of 2 ends of this problem. I'd love to see RVs built to be more durable, and the issues that I'm dealing with here is very typical industry-wide across many manufacturers. Now, on my first go-round of this repair, there was some great recommendations on how to attach this better, kind of from a factory standpoint with like riv nuts or something inside of the wall that actually has a thread. Basically, there's a much better way to be able to attach the walls to the frame to create the superstructure, because what they have there going with these lag screws through the chassis into that really thin wall holding on to a very thin piece of wood, it's just a bad concept altogether, but I'm gonna work within that for right now. So what I'm gonna do is a lot of people had recommended some kind of construction adhesive and epoxy or something like that. So what I'm going with right now is I'm gonna mix up some JB Weld, and I'm gonna put the lag screw in there so that the JB Weld is on the end and holding into the wall portion. I'm still not exactly excited about that attachment method, but this is what I'm running with for right now. Now, back to our RV industry problem. So on one hand, we have obvious room for improvements for quality, dependability on RVs. And finding those room for improvements oftentimes comes from the consumer. But that's the flip side of the problem. Taking this too extreme can lead to an imbalance. We've never had so many social media groups and online groups where you can get together and complain. And I've seen the extreme where somebody had a piece of trim fall off their RV and somebody advised them to take it back to the manufacturer and demand a refund. And this was just a small little piece of trim on the inside of the RV. And that's why I say that we need balance. Now, another thing in this repair is I was not aware of the screws that come from below and go up into that wall. So the ones that sheared off, probably because those lags let go, I'm replacing and adding a couple more. I'm also going to do a pretty thorough inspection under here, checking out the different welds and making sure that we don't have something else broken, which I didn't assume that we did. And then it's going through the painstaking process of trying to make sure that all that caulking was off, to reassemble everything, to be able to seal it back up so that water's not going to get in there. Taking my time in this area is definitely going to pay off in the long run. Now I used that same method on the lag screws on the inside. So I took those out, squirt the JB weld, and put those back in. I'm gonna feel a lot better about going down the road after this repair and getting a lot of that put back in the right spot. So now you're all caught up on the repair of what we have done here. So just a quick overview of that. We have 5 bolts from the inside going from the chassis to the wall that holds that in there. We only had 2 originally. The other 3 were missing. And now we also have the 2 lag bolts that come underneath the chassis that are accessed from under here that go through the chassis and into the wall in that same manner. So all those are now epoxied to the wall through the chassis, not epoxied to the chassis, but to the wall. And then we have those large, longer screws. They're pretty thin, but they go up through the chassis into the wall. The chassis actually has a little lip under here, and so that's what holds it in this direction. So as those lag screws were coming out and loosening up, not holding on to what they needed to, that's where the screws that go up into there, those 3-inch or so screws, started to shear off and break. So it's kind of a cascading failure there. And it's at this point that I almost kind of scrapped the whole video, but I thought this is still good information to be able to pass along. But with that Grand Design email that came out, it was kind of incomplete for what it was. So I thought, rather than scrap it all, why don't we complete it with the information that is current at this time? And this is where it gets interesting, because I have 2 emails to take a look at. One of them was sent to me personally, and one is of the extended warranty. And I can kind of see why some people are still fired up on both sides of this issue. So the camps that we see on the extremes of both ends, we see a group of people that are saying, Grand Design, too little, too late, this isn't far enough of an action, and you took too long to respond, I'm moving on to a different manufacturer. And then on the other hand, we have people that are using their RV and they haven't had really any problems and they love their Grand Design. Or maybe they had an issue and Grand Design stepped up to the plate, took care of them, got them out of a bad situation, and they're extremely happy with Grand Design as a company, the way that they have felt taken care of and the end result that they have for their RV. And then you have the people in the middle that aren't on either end of the extreme, that have had maybe some minimal problems, some things that they had to work through, but overall they're just enjoying their RV, enjoying their life, not really caring about either side of the extreme of these conversations. So here's my take on the email of the extended warranty to 5 years. I think it's a good first step. I will be critical and I will say that I think it should extend to more than just the original owner. If you're gonna stand behind the frame, why not stand behind it for the second and the third owner? If you're gonna stand behind the frame no matter who is owning it at that time. I was literally just editing that section of the video when I got the email from Grand Design that it's not just to the first owner anymore. It's in that 5-year period, whoever the subsequent owner is after that, during that 5-year period, it's still going to be good for them. So that is excellent news. I love to be able to see that things are happening and changing. That's why we'll get into a couple of the other things that I've been critical about in the past that I hope to see change on, but this is why. And so hopefully we continue to see improvements and changes that are good for RVers, good for the RVing community. So this is really what we're hoping for. So let's get back to it. The second thing is information and communication. I feel like I heard more about NDAs and things that people couldn't say rather than good information that was coming out. And this was in the email. It says that rumors and misinformation have been swirling online regarding excessive frame flex. So they took a little bit of a shot calling things misinformation, but the problem was we weren't really getting any good information coming back our way to be able to make the repairs and make the decisions we needed to fix these problems. So I did email the customer service at Grand Design asking, what should I do with these loose lag screws in the very beginning? They said, take out the lag screws, enlarge the hole, and put in larger lag screws in there. And then when I emailed them back saying that I have 5 holes and I only have 2 lag screws, should I replace with more lag screws? They said, if you're having issues with frame flex, which I didn't mention, they said, take it to a dealership. which that isn't really that helpful and that isn't really new information. And so I wanted to dive into it. That's why I didn't really scrap this video, and I thought this is good information to be able to put out there, is we can see a better picture of what that superstructure attachment is actually looking like in the front. And I believe this is very much a Lippert design from the chassis to the wall, because we see that across multiple different manufacturers, this very similar type of connection. And on that note, Lippert kind of got their foot out first and kind of got their story out there, and Grand Design has just been really slow up until this email in a public sense. So here it is. I'm going to throw my 2 cents out there because I'm hopeful for Grand Design. I hope they come out stronger on the other side of this. We all make mistakes. I've made mistakes on this channel where I've had to make some corrections and pull back to the center of what I really want to stand for. I want to stand for giving you guys good information to help you enjoy RVing more. What they say there about in that email, they say, do the right thing, put people first, and be the best. And I think they could have done that a little bit more in the beginning, shown a little bit more of a presence. I think at this point they could do a recall, so people that are having these lag screws back out. I've seen a lot more people than just the large fifth wheels have this problem and have missing lag screws. So I think there should be a recall, which I know that's super easy for me not having to foot the bill to have a recall, but I think that's something that should be addressed and fixed on these RVs that are already on the road. Me just tightening up the 2 lag screws on the inside would have completely ignored the screws that were up underneath that had to be revealed by dropping that lower portion of that upper deck and replacing those broken screws that were sheared off. I think tightening up those lag screws and upsizing them, I would have just been in the same boat in no time at all, because it's just one piece, one fraction of what that superstructure is to hold that area together. Now, the next thing I think they should do is change that upper deck, but I do think they are, because when I called Lippert looking to see what other hitches were approved for our fifth wheel, they did say that Grand Design, it looked like they were going to be switching to that new upper deck, which I think would be a great thing. I'd love to hear some of that information coming back from Grand Design of, hey, we want to strengthen this area that might be under question and we want to make it better. So with that new upper deck, there might be maybe a different way to attach the wall to the chassis. So I would like to see more on that. Now, I'm not affiliated with Grand Design or Lippert in any way. So that's why I've been critical of the things that we have seen on here. The slide mechanism, the Schwintek on there, on that large slide that I don't think should have been on the large slide. I've been critical of the plumbing elements that they have in here, the flexible tubing rather than just sticking with PEX and supply lines that are made for it. And now kind of this front end connection from the chassis to the wall for the superstructure. Those are kind of my big critical elements of us having this RV. But overall, we have been happy with this RV. It's been a step up in quality from the 20-year-old RV that we had before this one. So overall, I can see why people have positions on both sides of the fence. The extreme of too little, too late, I'm not going with Grand Design again, and people that would buy a Grand Design after the experience that they've had again. For me, I'm hopeful for Grand Design. I hope they come out stronger on the other side of this. But I hope this information helps you out and see more of that attachment method that they were currently using at the time that they made this fifth wheel. You get a better picture of what that looks like in that front area of the fifth wheel. So I think that's gonna do it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope that it helped you out in some way. So as always, if we don't see you on the road, hopefully we will. See you next video. Take care.